folks. It's the BKBK podcast where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brian Taylor, Terry Taylor, and Captain Kyle McKenna. So the Jets have 2 games in the books as of right now. But let's remember, this is a 17-week season. That means that there are 15 games left. Therefore, a lot of football to talk about.
Maybe
you got 15 more weeks of this. Is that what you're saying?
No, buddy.
So listen, we will begin our talk with today's game against the Pats, as well as referencing last week's game against the Panthers. So to kick things off in 2 words, and I'm going to start with Kerry Taylor. In 2 words, describe the feeling you have right now watching the Jets play the Patriots. And by the way, folks, before you chime in, Kerry, the title of our show today is "What Are You Feeling Right Now?" Because we're all up in our feelings. Kerry, 2 words, describe your feelings.
Come on, son.
That was 3 words, by the way, but it's all good.
That's hyphenated. That's hyphenated.
That's hyphenated? Okay, all right.
No, it's not hyphenated. It's the apostrophe that makes it 2 words.
That too, whatever. I don't care. That's directed to you too. Come on, son. You gotta ask me a kind of question. Word. That's how we doing today.
How you think I'm
First
feeling
one
right
in.
now? How you think I'm feeling?
Word.
Say word.
Get that mic out of my face.
So explain that, Kerry. Talk
Go ahead.
about it.
I mean, look, we have a first-year quarterback.
Yep.
We're going to expect that there are going to be bumps in the road. You know, do we expect 4 interception games? Maybe not, right? But what we want to see is improvement week to week. There was no improvement from this week to the next. I mean, there was significant
Regression.
right?
Yep.
But what I want to see is how he rebounds from this game. Next week is another big game. You got Denver has 2-0 at Denver in Mile High Stadium.
With that defense.
With that defense, with Teddy Steady Bridgewater, who is, that quarterback that is unremarkable, is not a
can't give him that.
When I say unremarkable, I'm not saying what I want to say is non-exciting. But sometimes non-exciting is what you want. You want safe sometimes. Like when that Elijah Moore, when he was open, when he threw it in when Elijah Moore was open in the flat, and you wanted to squeeze the ball into
Corey
Davis's hands, that's unexciting. But sometimes something that's not exciting pushes you forward to the next set of downs. And that's not what happened in this particular situation. So we're up against Teddy Steady Bridgewater, who could lack excitement, but definitely moves the chains. That's what we want to see from our first year quarterback. But again, we want to see progression. We want to see improvement. We want to see bounce back, right? How are you going to recover from a setback? A setback is something that sets you up for the next level of success.
You know what, Kerry? I just want to add on to your statement. First of all, I 100% agree with you. Secondly, I think this is where we see the importance of having a veteran quarterback on your squad to help tutor and mentor the younger quarterback, because what does he have to lean on? Who can he go to? What if we had, someone like, a Steady Teddy, who is going to be our number 2 quarterback, who has experience in the National Football League, where he can go to and be like, man, like, I just messed up. My head's a little messed up. And then somebody can go to him who has had success in the National Football League, and say, listen, just be easy. Don't go for the big chunk of change. Just make your completion so that you can warm back up. Because what I've been seeing from him, he's he's got all the skills. He can do everything. We saw today for the first time that he's mobile as well, and he can get out of trouble. But I think he likes to look down the field first before looking to the checkoffs. And I've noticed that Mac Jones, he starts short and then goes further down the field. He's a safer quarterback, where our quarterback wants to make the big splash plays. And that's not necessarily bad, but you have to kind of figure things out first before you can just automatically do that. And I think that's where he made those mistakes. And a veteran quarterback on the roster can chat him up about that. And that's what we do not have. And that's an indictment on the general manager.
Brandon, what are your 2 words?
My 2 words is dag, bro.
Sound like a variation of "Come on, son."
Yeah, exactly. Because I think we're all feeling the same thing. You know what I mean? So, or you know what? I might just say dag on it. So that's 2 words, dag on it. That's exactly how I'm feeling because I was saying that the entire length of the game. Dag on it, dag on it.
He wasn't good at math. That's what it was. You know what I mean?
I tried to retire all that stuff. So, I'm just a frustrated Jets fan right now. I do see hope. I think that overall, the offensive line played better as far as pass blocking because all the interceptions, I think, except for one, Zach Wilson had time. He either was betrayed by a ball going through the hands of Corey Davis, who I happen to really like, and he's on my fantasy team, or he just made poor throws. One was just a poor throw, and then one was a poor decision with a poor throw. So it's like you got to execute better. And then on the other times, I mean, there was pressure up the middle. Van Roten, he needs to go.
Van Roten.
And I've been saying that from the beginning. And McGovern, I saw him let up a sack as well. It's always those 2 guys. It's always those 2 guys letting up sacks.
Yeah.
And I feel like Fant played a pretty decent game. I feel like Morgan Moses played a pretty good game. And honestly, AVT, Elijah Vera Tucker, I didn't see anything that made him stand out to me on paper. He's also a rookie. But I would like to see a pancake block. I would like to see him just totally snuff out some interior rush, but I'm not seeing that just yet. So hopefully he can grow into that position and become like a Quentin Nelson or something, who they've been comparing him to.
Well, we didn't hear his name, so that's a decent sign.
I mean,
that's a decent sign.
In our offensive lineman world, then as long as we don't hear your name, that's kind of a good thing,
That's true.
Yeah.
So he wasn't penalized in all the penalties that were mentioned. He wasn't one of the people penalized. I know Fant was penalized. Right. I know that Moses was penalized at least once. I thought your 2 words, Brandon, were going to be play calling because that was something that over the text thread during the game, you were quite upset with Mike LaFleur. And I don't think you're the only one out there in Jetland that is having some issues with that.
I would have, but I'm saving that for our C segment, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. I would say that my 2 words.
Did you just wink? Because I can't tell.
No, I didn't. I double blink because I'm tweaked out.
All right. There you go.
All right, Kyle. What are your 2 words?
Unforced errors. I think that 3 of the turnovers that Zach Wilson had today were unforced errors. Going into the game, a lot of the talk was what Bill Belichick does to rookie quarterbacks. My first look at the game, when watching it live, I didn't feel like Bill Belichick did a whole heck of a lot to make those errors happen. I disagree a bit with the contention that the ball that went through Corey Davis's hands was Zach Wilson's fault. I don't think that was a bad decision. But
I don't think it was a great pass. I think it was a 50-50 ball.
So
he's our number 1 receiver, and that ball should be caught, and that shouldn't have been an interception, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. So
all right. So my thing is this: you had the guy open in the flat; he was wide open. Corey Davis had 4 Patriots around him, and you threw the ball high.
Anyway.
So to me, if you're talking about percentage success in that situation, and I believe that it was like 2nd or 3rd down, we would have had the 1st down yardage. Plus. It was the play to be had. Now, if you threw it in the breadbasket, then I'm like, okay, right? You threw it in the breadbasket because the guy had 4 people around him, then the probability of success of that play goes up. But if you throw that high at that point in time, I just felt like at least he had a percentage of blame in that particular play. That was just my thought process.
And it's risk reward.
Yeah, if we agree to disagree on that, I think we all agree that the other 3, came as a result of either a bad decision or bad mechanics. And all this off platform, my arm is so strong I can throw from any angle, like stuff that we saw on the pro day and the Aaron Rodgers type stuff and Mahomes type stuff.
Yeah.
It's all great until you are under 50%.
So you're missing.
And you're missing throws and you're
missing
throwing
routine throws.
Yeah, you're selling balls for interceptions,
Right.
which interception number 4 was there's nobody even, within
In the
5 yards
vicinity.
of where the ball fell.
Right.
So I'm all for his athletic ability and his improvisational style if he's doing it in a way in which the ball is moving down the field and not going to the other team. So, but I am also, I'm it's this guy's second game. He's a rookie. And he wasn't completely helped out by the penalty situation. So I think a mixture of his bad decisions and bad mechanics, along with the penalties, kind of caused what we had to deal with today on offense. Our running backs are not bad running backs.
No.
They need a little bit more of a rhythm, I think.
I just want to say one thing before you move on to the running backs. I just think, aside from the penalties and other things, I think the biggest thing with Zach today was definitely not his mechanics, but his poor decision making. I think that was the biggest drawback in his game today. I think I said this off camera before we went live, that he's looking at playing in the pros right now. And I like this kid a lot. You guys know I've been showing off about him. I discovered him, and I still hold true to that. I love this kid. I really do.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus.
His approach right now is when he drops back for a pass, I feel like he looks first. He goes from the top, and then he comes down. And he's looking at it from a splash, big play perspective, kind of like he's in college. But this is the NFL. You have to go with the guy that's open, or the guys that you can conceivably throw open, not with making the big splash plays. And I've noticed that, like, the plays that are called, you'll bootleg or waggle out, right?
Yep.
And then, you'll have your deep guy, like a Corey Davis. You'll have your intermediate guy, like a tight end. And then you'll have your guy that's going into the flat, like, like Elijah Moore. And he's always looking for the deep guy in Corey Davis first. And then I saw him look for either Croft or Griffin that he made a throw to and made a completion to. And he's last looking at the guy in the flat. And sometimes you need to look at them first before you start building and looking up the field. So he's looking upfield before he's looking downfield. And I think he needs to start maybe building himself up from looking in the shallow area before he goes deep.
I think the Patriots also, they were well prepared for the play action game, and they spied him on those bootlegs. So they had a defender, whether they filled the box with a ninth guy or whatever they did. They had a defender who was not going to bite on the run fake ever. So every time we bootlegged, Wilson would come around. He'd have a guy in his face right away, whether it was Judon or Bentley or any of the other single-digit linebackers or defensive ends that are now in NFL.
Number 8, Bentley was out there. I think you mentioned him.
It's taking a lot for me to get used to that in the pros. But you had a guy in his face every time, and I think that was game planned that way. I think that they saw that most of his success was not coming off straight dropbacks. It was coming off of play action. So, and play action is how you kind of break in a young quarterback to make things a little bit easier for them. But you have to have the run game going too. So I think in the first half, even with the interceptions that were thrown, we had 3 different running backs rip off an explosive run play of 12 yards plus. Johnson, Coleman, and Carter. So the running game, you get to a point with the running game that if you're not getting first downs and you're not hitting open receivers on makeable conversions, and you're turning the ball over, you have to abandon the run game and you go into this one-dimensional. We have to come back now type of thing. And it happened about, I would say, mid-third quarter, where we got into that comeback mode, I think. So
Yeah.
And I do agree with you in terms of Kyle, his accuracy. I feel like more often than not, his balls were sailing on him. They were higher than he needed them to be on the overthrows, on both of the overthrows to Davis. On the throw to Elijah Moore that ended up being an interception. I feel like the ball needed to be more closer to the sideline and longer, whether he didn't see that safety that ended up picking the ball up. Like the safety was like, wow, this is coming right to me. I ain't got to move. I don't have to move right, left. I can just sit here and wait for the ball to land in my hands, in my pockets. But I feel like he needs to settle in on his footwork and the decisions that he's making down the field, whether they're intermediate passes or longer passes, they're not accurate enough right now. And again, I think it's more an issue of him feeling like I can throw it from any position or any stance, and he's overestimating his ability as far as that's concerned.
Well, can I?
Yeah, I'm much more concerned. Much more concerned about the missed opportunities on open receivers than the turnovers.
Exactly. Yeah.
But go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
So,
Brian?
Yeah. I'm trying to get through my my 2 words. So my 2 words are oy vey.
Wow, you went there.
I went there.
Wow.
Say it again, B.
You went Yiddish.
I said oy vey. Right.
That's how you know he grew up in Long Island.
Absolutely, man.
Where's my bagel at? Where's my bagel at?
I can speak several languages. You know what I mean? At least one word at a time.
Right.
And so with that, I'm like,
Yiddish.
The first game, I didn't feel like he played like a rookie. This game, Zach Wilson played like a rookie.
100.
Right. And I'm concerned about it. Right. So we watched a lot of things play out in this particular game. Some of which were, like Kyle mentioned, the unforced errors. 3 out of the 4 of the interceptions were, to me, 100% on Zach Wilson. And it's troubling to me where I look at the end of the play and I'm like, where were you trying to go with the ball? Like, you weren't seeing the field. You weren't seeing the safety. You weren't seeing players that you threw the ball directly to. And again, to Kyle's point earlier, it didn't seem like Belichick or the defense was doing anything extra special. Like, Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, the year, a couple years ago or what have you. I just didn't feel that. I just felt like these were unforced errors and he was playing into what was happening. What's more disappointing to me is that the defense actually played a pretty darn good game. Right. And I felt like, 2 weeks in a row, especially watching what Carolina did to the Saints, right? They put up more points against the Saints than they did against us. And so that means that, hey, maybe our defense isn't so bad. And they played actually very good in the first half, especially even with all of the turnovers that we saw. So looking at this game and why we lost it, is disappointing because I felt really good after game 1 that at least we know we have our quarterback, right? And I'm not saying we don't have our quarterback right now, but it does put a little chink in the armor of, man, Zach Wilson looked like a rookie today.
Still threw for 210 yards.
I mean,
empty stat.
Right. It's very empty stats. Late in the game.
We again, there's the difference between stats and what you see.
Did he get outplayed by Mac Jones? Right? And Mac Jones was Mr. Checkdown all day. He didn't take really any risks all day. And still he outplayed Zach Wilson in that regard. So
and he didn't have to. And he didn't have to take risks.
No, because the turnovers.
Because of the turnovers. You have 4 turnovers.
Right. So he didn't have to take any risks at that point in time, at any point in the game, because he was like, you know what? I'm I'm gonna check down here, I'm gonna check down there, because the guy on the other side is going to make mistakes, which he did, and lead to us losing the game like we did. So
But let me just interject real quick. Even with those turnovers, we didn't have to take risks really until the top of the fourth quarter. We were always in the game because our defense kept the score pretty close. Like nothing that we couldn't come back from if we were to be able to,
if we had an explosive offense, right? I mean, if we could,
yeah,
right? I mean, but we
we can manage.
that's not what we have though. So
No.
2 scores in even with the entirety of the fourth quarter and part of the third felt like an insurmountable distance and a mountain to climb at that point in time. At no point in that game did I feel like, we're going to come back and win it. I mean, I don't know if you guys felt that way, but there was no point in that game after they went up, let's say, 2 scores or whatever. I felt like, you know what? We have a comeback in this and we might be able to win this game.
When we were driving, when it was I think it was 19-3, and we kicked the field goal. I didn't think we should go for it on fourth down.
It's like 4th and 2, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we needed 3 scores. Because we needed 3 scores.
We went for it on like 3 fourth down. So I may be mixing the fourth down up.
No, you're right. You're right in saying it.
Yeah.
You're right in saying it.
I thought there were still, if we had scored on that drive, and we have a 19-10 game, that was still the third quarter. It was, still a winnable game. But
right. You're talking about in the third quarter. I thought you meant in the fourth quarter when we were down 19-3. That was the fourth quarter.
It was the beginning.
With 6:18 left. It was 6:18 left.
And we kicked the field goal.
And we kicked the field goal to make it 19-6.
So I'm mixing it up.
But still, to your point, you still had 6 minutes left, right, to score twice. We led in 7 of 8 offensive categories and still lost the game because you have 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
So, at the end, and we led in a key defensive stat, which is sacks. We had 4 sacks and they had 3, right? So, Zach Wilson got sacked 3 times, but we sacked Mac Jones 4 times. So, the issue is that it is significantly difficult to recover from 4 turnovers, especially when there are interceptions when you're driving.
It's statistically almost impossible if you're not forcing any turnovers on the other side.
Correct.
Yeah, it's
and he threw those picks all in the first half, correct?
No,
it
wasn't all in the first half.
No,
he threw 3.
He threw 3 in the first
3
half.
and then 1 in the second, I
Right.
believe. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
right.
Well,
And they were driving when he threw the fourth one. So that was another drive that could have ended in some sort of points.
His first 2 passes were picks.
Right. He was 0 for 2 with 2 interceptions.
I'll tell you what else, every time we got in the red zone, and for a team that had 4 picks and wasn't moving the ball as well as we would have liked, we were still in the red zone more than one would think. But I feel like our play calling in the red zone just totally froze up.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The 3 runs in a row that we called.
I hated that. Fine, you run first down, you run second down, and then I think it was like a 4th and 2, therefore a 4th and goal. And I wanted to see something, crossing patterns or like a pick or something like that, just to create, a little confusion to the defense that maybe 1 or 2 of our guys would be open. And then here we go again. We basically run, a 47 power, You remember the 47 power fella?
47 double H, yeah.
Yeah,
47 double H, right off the right tackle, in between the guard and tackle, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, my struggle with that though is that when you have a quarterback that has thrown 4 interceptions, not at that point, he threw 2, but he still threw 2. This is your first time in order to get some points.
Right.
Do you trust him
To throw the ball
on third down to make the right decision? Especially because in the situations previously where the turnovers have occurred, he didn't make the right decision. So I wouldn't have been. It's tough to be LaFleur at that point in time in this game because it kind of limits the playbook the more he's turning the ball over, right? Because trust, is earned, right? It's earned. And during that particular game, he really didn't earn that trust. I definitely am with you, though, on that third down. I would have liked to see something, a play action, give him the opportunity to even have him run it ball in from 2 yards, right? I mean, give the ball to your quarterback and say, you know what? If it's not there, just run it in.
Yeah.
Right. Just run the ball in.
Right.
But I just think that the trust factor wasn't there at that point in time. So he said, listen, the run game is the only thing that I can lean on and that's working consistently. So let me see if we can try to punch it in. If not, hey, we get 3 points. We're only down, at that point in time, then we're down by 2 scores, but it's only like 10 points or whatever. So, okay, fine. Let's do that and play it safe. But
well, then,
I hear you.
Well, then get creative on the run. Do a reverse. Do an RPO. Do maybe some type of an option flip or something like that, or a toss sweep. Just something that's a little bit different. That is just not. It just looked predictable. It looked predictable.
Totally predictable.
I still trust Zach because the game is not over. It's still in the first half when we see them try to attempt that play, and we're also going off the facts and evidence of the last game where he did throw 2 touchdowns and he only had 1 pick, and we see, the potential in our quarterback. So I would have thrown it, and I still had the trust in him. I just feel like the play calling was suspect, and I think the play calling was suspect, throughout the whole game for the most part.
I agree, and I believe that sort of one of the strengths that I believe that we've seen in the preseason and some of the things that we've heard in practice is that his ball off of the play action, off the run, off the
rollout. A little low,
his play off the ball, his rollout ball throws are good. Are good in terms of that's what we see that he's received accolades for. From the people that are high on him, and I didn't see enough of that, especially in the red zone, where you could take advantage of the play action and roll them out and try to hit somebody on the run. So that's the only play. Maybe not RPO. I wouldn't necessarily, because I haven't seen that from him at all in the preseason or otherwise. But that might be an aspect that they have to pursue in terms of throwing something else in there to give him options.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it seems like we're kind of, getting into what this is all about. You know what I mean? Like analyzing the first 2 games, our quarterback, and basically this leads me to ask everyone, what is the identity of the New York Jets that you can kind of see right now after these first 2 games? Or is it not enough evidence to give them an identity right now? Like, what do you guys have to say about that? Brian, I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, I think the identity we want to have is we want to be able to play tough defense and we want to be able to run the ball. And I think some of that, we've been inconsistent with most of that. And I say that because the first game we weren't really able to establish the run. We were able to establish the run this game. But because we were behind because of the turnovers, we really couldn't stick
Brian,
to the
you're
run.
Breaking up.
Breaking up on your end?
On your end, I believe. Why don't you just say what you were saying as far as we were not able to establish the run? Let's try that.
Sure. So we really weren't able to establish the run in the first game. We started to be able to establish the run in the second game. We had more success there. But, again, we couldn't stick with it because we had the 4 turnovers.
Right.
Now, the defense itself, I think, played 2 pretty good games. This game better than the other game. Now, the box score doesn't represent that. But we really played very well in the first half. Even with the turnovers, we were able to give the ball back to the offense. We kept the score down. We kept them maybe kicking field goals or maybe not even scoring at all. And we had the turnover that didn't end up being a turnover in the first drive that the Patriots had, right? Which should have been, but they blew the whistle too early. So really, the defense played pretty well, but we just haven't established that identity because we haven't been consistent. And the quarterback play has definitely been part of that. The first half of the first game, inconsistent quarterback play, and all of this game, inconsistent quarterback play. So really, when you look at Zach Wilson and his performance, he's played one good half. So we really need to see him play well in the third game. I think the running game has started to develop. So hopefully we see that continue to take a step forward in the next game. And then the defense, hopefully they stay consistent from game one and game two. And let's see if we could put a full game together, right? We just haven't been able to do that so far. So there's no identity because there's no consistency. That's my opinion on it.
I totally agree with you as far as the stats and everything that you brought up as pertaining to Zach and just playing a half of football. I do believe that with just the two games that we have, that I am seeing an identity of the New York Jets, even though we haven't won yet. I'm seeing it on the sideline. I'm seeing it in the shirts that they're wearing. I'm seeing it in the play out on the field, even though it hasn't been 100% effective. But I think the Jets do have an all gas, no break mentality. Now, remember when we were losing with the Jets last year and in seasons before, you would see people being dejected and things like that. I'm seeing a lot of energy from the New York Jets, and I think that identity that Robert Saleh has injected into this franchise, I see it there.
Well, how long does that last though, B? I mean, with the losing,
it's a 17 game.
Right. It's a long season, and it's only been 2 games. So I'm not trying to say. So my question is really just putting it out there for my fellow BKBK podcasters, right? So how long does that last? It's nice to have nice T-shirts and to have a slogan, but if the W's don't reflect that, how long is he going to be able to keep the locker room?
I hear you, B. But you know what? How many quarterbacks do you know throw 4 picks whose head and are rookies and they don't have their heads messed up? Not once at any point during that game did I see Zach Wilson's head being all messed up. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't out of his own skull, so to speak. He threw 4 picks, and I think he was still with it, and he was still trying to make it happen. He just didn't have a good game. I didn't see him lose his mind out there. He was still within himself. I think he needs to, make adjustments, of course, and accept the full load of coaching as long as the coaching is coming from a good place. But not once did I see him throw his helmet down, be dejected, pacing up and down on the sideline like Donovan McNabb or anything like that, even though I respect McNabb. But you remember.
Why you had to throw McNabb in there, bro? I mean, the dude's been retired for like 20 years.
I just remember like T.O. walking, following him, and McNabb like losing his head, and other people who I've seen lose their heads. And he doesn't have a veteran quarterback presence in the locker room with him to help him out, and he still has maintained. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about as far as the all gas, no break. And the defense never gave up. They were on the field quite a bit, and they never gave up. And Mosley played hard. Marcus May played hard. Bryce Hall played hard, and they had good games. You know what I'm saying? Our D-line, sometimes the running backs of the other team would get through, but we still had 4 sacks. Pierce Myers had 2 of those sacks. Lawson had a good game. Rankins had a good game and a sack as well. So, I think that it's there. We just need to put it there as far as the X's and O's. I think the right attitude is there, but we really need to, sharpen this up and get the X's and O's to fit the mentality of this team before things get lost. You know what I'm saying? So it does need to kind of hurry up. So I get what you're saying too as well.
Yeah, I think that the identity of the Jets right now is inexperienced. And when you
Perfect.
look at the three phases of the game right now, with LaFleur and Wilson on offense, both inexperienced, Saleh as a head coach, for all his good intention and his mantras and the attitude is good. I love the attitude, but he is inexperienced. He hasn't been in the seat very long. But Boyer and Ubrick, the D coordinator and the special teams coordinator, those are the parts of our team that are operating at the highest level right now, and they are also the most experienced at doing what they do. So the only way to become more experienced is to experience more. So you go from an inexperienced person to an experienced person with each week that goes by, with each, like Kerry said before, turning each trial into something that you can triumph on later on. And yeah, Zach Wilson had a terrible game. He threw 4 picks, whether all of them were his fault or not. But the experience of that type of situation and the film that gives you, and the going over that and being able to make better decisions later, because you saw that's going to be fine. You think about Peyton Manning and how many picks he threw early on in his Hall of Fame career in his rookie year. I was talking about it with my friend that I watched the game with. He had like 22 interceptions in the first 8 games or something like that of his first year, and then like 6 later on in the second half of that year. So you got to give a little bit of time for a rookie quarterback to marinate. I am a little disappointed that I didn't think that that Belichick really like threw the kitchen sink at him.
Right.
And a lot of his errors were without the benefit of being able to say, "Oh, Belichick got you that time. He baited you in a trap coverage or something like that." I think if you look at the throws, the open receivers that he missed, his feet are facing one way and he's throwing another. It's great when you can show off the arm talent on air, but when it comes down to it, you got to be mechanically sound when you're playing in the NFL. And Mac Jones, if we're going to make a comparison here, was very mechanically sound. He made a huge mistake on his intentional grounding. That was a big rookie kind of inexperienced faux pas that he made there. But for the most part, I think Brian, your analysis is right when it comes to Mac Jones managed the game better. Maybe that has a lot to do with Josh McDaniels and Belichick also in coaching him up on the game plan. So, yeah, our identity right now is inexperienced until it isn't. And whereas I like you, Brandon, see the all gas, no brakes mentality in everything they do, which is good. They're going to need to get experience quick if they're going to win any games. So that's kind of where I'm at with it as far as identity.
Yeah, I like the the only way to get more experience is to experience more. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
you could trademark that. We could put that in the patent office.
I like that. I like that.
They don't know how much you care until they don't know. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
Another play on words.
There you go.
Coach McKenna.
Yeah, man. That's definitely some coach talk right there, without a doubt.
Yes. It's good press conference stuff. Right
yeah, totally. So, Kerry, what are you thinking? What's the Jets' identity right now?
I think it's undecided for me. I think the sample size is too small. I think, what I'm encouraged by is the defensive backfield. What I'm encouraged by is our stable of running backs. What I'm encouraged by is, with those two positions, bringing in guys that will compete and push each other. And, although we didn't really rush we didn't have significant success rushing the first game, I think the second game, we had significant contributors in that aspect. I think our offensive line is still is
Work
a
in
long
progress.
way away from contributing the way that it needs to, especially our interior line, especially on the right side. We had 6 sacks first game. We had 4 sacks the second game. So, I mean, are we trending downward as far as sacks are concerned? I don't know. I hope so. I think part of that is Zach Wilson holding on to the ball longer than he should at times.
Yep.
So this is a developmental stage of developmental year, a developmental 17 games. So what I've seen is the defensive backfield. What I've liked that I've seen are the running backs. What I've seen from the rest of the team, as far as linebackers, as far as offensive line, and even to extent as far as defensive line, as far as receiving core, where is Denzel Mims? He's not even dressed.
Inactive.
Where is Keenan Cole? He's on a milk carton right now,
Witness protection.
right? So yeah, we are all gas no brake. I mean, we on ethanol 85 right now. So we burning fumes that the combustibility is at an all-time low.
At least we're helping
as
out
far
the
as I'm
planet. At
concerned,
least we're helping out the planet.
right?
That's all.
So I think we need to break at times and evaluate what we've done and make some adjustments and then move forward. So we might have gas, but there's time for breaks as well. So that's my evaluation.
Well said. Well said. Brian, what about you?
I think I started the segment off.
You did.
I did.
Okay, well, whoops.
Yeah, what about you?
I'm glad you were listening
What
to
about
me, by
you?
the way.
Besides the no gas, no break.
You know what? I was like,
I think-
All right, let me check my phone. Brian's talking. That's
Right. Right.
I think we need
It's
to
a good
time to
keep me
rest.
music.
Yeah, so you know what? Instead of trying to tweak me, why don't you just play the music, boy?
All right.
Oh yeah, now you want to go to it. All
All
right.
right.
All right,
Yeah,
all right,
know
all right,
that.
yes,
Go
okay.
to the videotape.
That's right. Peek me or tweak me. Right now you're tweaking me.
All right, guys.
I want to go first.
You want to go first?
I want to go first.
All right. Let me. I'm gonna cue you in, Kerry. Let me just
Yeah.
let the audience know, first time viewers or what have you. This is the Tweet Me, Peek Me segment. This is basically where we chime in as BKBK hosts and also fans of the Jets, where we basically display and talk about what we're excited about, what made us happy, basically what piques us, which brings us to our peak, and then things that really get under our skin and tweak us out. So this
You
segment is
make
called
me happy.
Tweak Me. Kerry, take it away. Kerry wants to go first. Batter up.
I mean, I'm a Erica Badu you and say I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my stuff, right? I'm a defensive back and I'm sensitive about my defensive backs. And I want to say, prior to this season, going into the preseason, it was, oh, these defensive backs, what are they doing? We're not drafting. We're not picking up. Look, they have done a great job. Not a good job. They have done a great job in the first 2 games in terms of we're not hearing their names in a negative setting. Where is Bless Austin? Who cares? I like where Eccles is. I like where Bryce Hall is. I like where Michael Carter II is. I like where who's the other nickel?
Javelin Guidry.
I like where Guidry is. So that they are piquing me right now, right? What's tweaking me right now is where are these wide receivers? Where is Keelan Cole? Where's Denzel Mims? I'm tired of seeing Mr. Berrios.
Wow.
Right? I'm tired of seeing him underneath routes. What is he doing here? I want to see Denzel Mims on the field. He needs to figure out whatever he needs to do to get on that field, to press more gas and less brake to get out there. I want to see Keelan Cole out there. He was, first of all, Denzel Mills was a healthy scratch. Terrible. Healthy scratch. Keelan Cole was on the roster, active. I didn't see one target to that guy.
Milk carton.
He's on a milk carton.
Protection.
So I let me go next because my tweak me, peek me is Berrios and Mims. Yeah. And I'm gonna go the opposite of Kerry with Berrios and say that he peaks me because Berrios is one of the most professional dudes on this team. He is someone who contributes both on special teams and on offense. He does what he needs to do. He has a nose for the ball. He gets the ball thrown to him because he gets open. And he contributes. Mims is not a professional. And if what we're hearing about Mims is that he's a healthy scratch because he doesn't know what to do, then they should cut him tomorrow.
Trade him.
They should get him or trade him or whatever. But if the reason why Mims is a healthy scratch is because he can't learn all three wide receiver positions, because he doesn't either have the desire. This guy is being paid millions of dollars to play professional football. If he can't get in the playbook and know what he's doing, then he should go and play arena football or semi-pro or maybe that rough touch tackle Malvern Bills out in Eisenhower Park.
How about dodgeball? Duck dodge.
No. Straight up. If the reason why he is not playing is because he doesn't know his plays, like, what are we gonna do with that? Like that is, I mean, it's insubordinate as far as I'm concerned. Unless he just doesn't have the ability to do it. And if he doesn't have the ability to do it, why didn't we know that before? I've seen so many Denzel Mims articles come through my Google feed in the last week of explanations why and blah, blah, blah. And Salah just came out and said it straight up.
Yeah,
the dude doesn't know what he's doing. We're not putting him in. And that is like the most basic and simple indictment of a non-professional that I've ever heard. So
what he said, it would help him if he were to learn the X, Y, and Z.
And that was him. And that was him being nice.
Yes.
I believe he said after the game today, and I'm not quoting this, but I saw it on the Twitter feed, is that Jeff Smith is a better player than him right now.
Wow.
So, wow. I mean, if he must be getting sick of the questions, because Denzel Mims was a second round draft pick, and I thought we got a steal.
Yes.
With him as a second round draft pick.
Yes.
Who out of all of us really wanted Denzel Mims? I forget.
Yeah, you ain't forget, bro. And I'll stand up for it. I mean, how was I to know that? You know, if you're talking about talent, I mean, you saw the last game, he had a 40-yard reception when he was out there. But if you're talking about, you know, the stuff that we're hearing, and part of that, which you're not mentioning, is the attitude. After that 40-yard reception, you know, LaFleur comes over in order to, you know, kind of pat him on the back and, you know, kind of, you know, give him a little something to move forward. And he didn't take it the right way. So I think even more so the fact that he didn't know the other positions, how he responded to that, from an attitude perspective, probably even more so. Right. But I didn't know that, you know, but it is what it is. So because I'm on camera, I guess I'll go next.
Well, you know what though?
Like, are you done with the tweak me? Because I don't know if you had the tweak me in there.
Going back to I'm finishing my tweak.
Go ahead.
My Berrios is my peak.
Okay.
Even though he's Kerry's tweak, I just think Berrios is a pro. So,
I agree with
that.
Look at Kerry's face. He's like, I don't buy it.
No.
Yeah. And then with Mims, and I'll end with this. If Brandon's talking about the identity of this team is the all gas, no brakes, and accountability, and building a culture of accountability through Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas and everything that you do in the building. If Denzel Mims has an attitude about the fact that he can't do his job, then please, please cut the dude loose.
Oh my goodness.
You know, so I mean, if he's a healthy scratch, I don't I don't know what else there is to do at this point because we don't have time for healthy scratches.
No.
I'm
Nobody
done.
ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
All right. So my peak me is the running game. My peak me is the running game this week. So we had Michael Carter, who had 11 carries for 59 yards. That's 5.4 average. Ty Johnson, 12 for 50. That's 4.2. Tevin Coleman, 5 for 24. That's 4.8. Right. So it takes a lot in order to get the running game going. Starts with the offensive line. And I am really encouraged about that because that's one of the tenets of what we want to do on offense. If we're not running the ball, play action doesn't work, right? So I think we're setting up for potentially, if we can stay consistent in the run game, for laying the groundwork for our quarterback to be successful.
And we did this without Mekhi Becton too.
Yeah. And we'll see if maybe he was a plus or a minus. I don't know ultimately. So that's really my peak me is the running game and what we were able to do. My tweak right now is the performance of Joe Douglas, to be honest with you. And so that goes into the draft class from 2020.
Oh boy.
Right? And we had Bryce Hall was the only starter out of the entire draft class of 2020 that played. Now, some of that is due to injury, our punter and our left tackle.
Ashton Davis.
I don't know if he's going to be a starter or not. I mean, he was out there, but I don't know if he
started last year.
Well, I mean, we also brought in Joyner to start, so he wasn't going to be a starter.
But we knew maybe not. It's about creating competition,
potentially,
right? And he was already
potentially. But those are ifs, ands, and buts, right? I'm just talking about today. Ashton Davis due to injury, Becton due to injury, Mann due to injury. But we also have some,
healthy scratch.
Denzel Mims in there, the healthy scratches as well. And we also had
Clark.
Yeah, that's an injury though, right? So he's still out.
He hasn't played,
but he hasn't played either, right? So, but just the lack of star power out of that 2020 draft class. And this is supposed to be our GM of the future. And, oh, by the way, the offensive line, the interior of it. When you look at Van Roten, I don't know how to pronounce it, but he stinks. Either way, right?
Rotten.
So, and we got some consistency, but then in the fourth quarter, he got exposed, and it was like a turnstile. And we're talking about they're rushing 4. So just getting beat by the man in front of you, right? And to think that you brought him in as a free agent last year and he was bad, and then to say, you know what, we had some consistency maybe towards the end of last year, so I think we'll be able to right the ship this year. And no, you're wrong. So listen, Joe Douglas is here. He's on a 6-year contract, I believe. So he's not going anywhere. We're not going to fire him, but he has to get his act together. And he has to make sure that from a free agent perspective and from a draft perspective, more importantly, that he's bringing in the right players that are actually going to lead to consistent winning for this franchise. And right now, it's not there. I don't see it. That's my tweet. You up, B?
Yeah, man. And wow.
Wow.
I thought you wanted to fight him or something. That's why I paused. I thought
Nah, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. It's a long season, but I'm just saying, yeah. I'm not happy.
I mean, you know what? You made very fair points, and honestly, I agree with you with the Joe Douglas thing. Yeah, I think he could have done a bit of a better job, and let's not forget about the defensive end out of Florida, Zuniga, who has done absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
So 0.
He's not even on the active roster.
No.
He's down on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. And he was drafted in the 3rd round. So
Ja'Kai Polite too.
That was 19. That was 19.
Yeah,
that's the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year before.
He wasn't
Polite. Was just ridiculously terrible. An outside pass rusher who ran a 5.0 in the 40. Like, why are you drafting him? You have to be kidding me. But anyway, so my tweet.
That's McCagnon, though. Polite was McCagnon.
Yeah, that was McCagnon. Yeah. I know that, but still, as a GM, you don't draft an outside rusher who runs a 5.0 in the 40. That should never happen. But anyway, I'm going to start with the peak me. And the peak me is what I alluded to before with the all gas, no break. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we are 0-2. We threw 4 picks today. And I didn't see at any point, either on offense or on defense or on special teams and the team as a whole, us giving up. I think we have the right mentality of how to basically encourage one another and how to stay positive. But like I said before, we do need to get the X's and O's together so that they can kind of coalesce together and become one kind of unified factor so that we can start winning. But I, when you watch football, you can see it out there. You can see the guys that are kind of giving up on plays. I'm not seeing that with this team yet. I'm
It's
not
the second
seeing.
game. Every time you say all gas, I feel like I got to hold back passing gas.
Nah.
This is ridiculous.
How about this?
This is ridiculous, man.
It's not
Look,
ridiculous.
Brandon, they are
Gary.
not playing well. And
Gary,
this
I
is the
know
second
they're not playing
game.
well. I know it's the second game, and I said that before I even started. But you know what? You see teams that will lose, and they lose their heads as well as losing the game. And this team has not lost their heads or anything like that, And plus, we stunk incredibly bad last year, so they could be looking at it like, "Oh, here we go again." And I'm not seeing that. Could it happen farther down the line? It could, but you know what? We're filled with a team with rookies. They should know that they're not going to be that good. It's reinforced with the fact that we're 0-2, and then it's like, oh, we're not good. And then it's reinforced even more with the fact that we only had 2 wins the year before that. So everything is trending in a way that they shouldn't be good, and they're realizing that. It's self-evident right now, but they still have a positive attitude. That's why I'm bringing out the moniker of all gas, no break, and the fact that he injected that into the culture of the Jets. It's a positive thing.
If they're
So
feeling the same way, at game 9, then I would agree with you. Not at game 2, when you have
Gary,
the youngest team in the NFL that doesn't know any better.
Gary, that's why this is my peek me, tweet me, not yours. You're ready to stand down.
So it's mine. All right, you claim it. You claim it.
I did.
You claim it.
And now we're going to get into what's tweaking me outside of Kerry, because Kerry just started tweaking me out a little bit. But you know what's tweaking me out a little bit more than Kerry?
I got gas.
It is LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. I don't like his play calling.
Agreed.
I don't like his play calling these first 2 games. I really don't. I feel like he's not putting Zach in the best position to be able to grow and learn while also playing at the same time. I'm not seeing any screens. I'm not seeing much misdirection.
They did throw one screen after you mentioned that, but go ahead.
To Davis.
But that's one.
To Davis.
That was to Davis.
And okay, that's fair, but I mean, that's one.
Right.
Okay, what do you do? Why don't you get more creative and do it in other ways? Because sometimes you just need to have your rookie quarterback make completions, even if it's behind the line of scrimmage, just to, set him up for feeling like, okay, all right, dink and dunk. Okay, good. I'm making, completions. I'm accurate. I'm completing passes to my guys that are making plays for me. We're getting all fired up. Next thing you know, boop, over the top, or even a nice intermediate 17-yard pass to your tight end or something like that, just to heat things up. And like I was saying, I think the biggest mistake, and you have to know your quarterback. Your quarterback is a big play type of guy, Like I was saying, he likes to start from the top down, and I'm seeing that just off of watching the games. Put him in situations where he can start from the bottom up, especially where now he's got 2 touchdowns and 6 picks. Why don't you flip it around a little bit and put him in a situation where he can make safe completions so that he can build himself up again? Because the thing that you don't want to happen to your quarterback, which has happened way too many times on in this Jets franchise, is that they lose their heads. And I don't want that. I think Sam Darnold started to lose his a little bit, and it's like all of a sudden he's talking about seeing ghosts. When you start seeing ghosts and you articulate that, you're kind of losing your wig piece a little bit. And I don't want that to happen to my quarterback, who I happen to really like. He's got all the tools in the world. He's sharp. And I think LaFleur needs to do a better job calling plays. And I don't like his red zone play calling as well. hopefully that'll change up. We have 15 games left, and hopefully, he can kind of change up his philosophy and not just stick with what he's doing, because I don't think it's working that well.
I agree. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, man. So listen, guys. I mean, does anyone else have anything else to say in regards to the past 2 weeks of the New York Jets football team before we sign out of here?
I got gas.
Well, folks, where Brian and Kerry are, that room is going to stink. All right?
Just like the Jets.
Yeah, just like the Jets. This guy Kerry is stepping on ducks in the studio. All right? So, before he, continues to step on these ducks, I'm going to read my outro. All right? So, thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast. We want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. Guys, keep watching. You can find us on Facebook, on our BKBK podcast fan page. Find us on Twitter at BKBK podcast, on Instagram at BKBK podcast, as well as on YouTube. When you go to YouTube, click the like button, guys. Subscribe, all right? Join the fam, all righty? And share it all over the place. And also, if you want to just watch the podcast, you're in the car driving or whatever, doing whatever you want to do, you can find us on iTunes, or you can go to BKBKpodcast.com. I'm sorry. I'm going to say that one more time. BKBKpodcast.podomatic.com. All righty? So before Brian sheeshes me to death over his towel face. That's it. All right. Let's go, Bolden Bruins. We finally won. All righty.
Yeehaw.
We won our second game of the year. I think we beat Glen Cove. I barely even know who they are, but
was Ashanti at the game? She's from the city of Glen Cove, isn't she?
That's
She
true,
is from
yeah.
the city of Glen Cove. Yeah.
So,
I think it was our
after
first
her
one. I think it was our
verses-
first win for this season.
After her verses with Ja Rule, then she came back out to the island and watched the Glen Cove team get destroyed by Baldwin. So let's go.
So let's go.
All
Who's
right.
up next, Kerry? Do we know who's up next for the Bruins?
I do not. I'm gonna try to attend the game though.
I think it's, what is it, like Roslyn or something like that?
Some random school.
I don't like it.
Locust Valley. I don't know.
I can't get over that we're in conference too.
Again, it's about our population. We don't have the population went
I
down.
know.
Yeah.
I know it is, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I
Try
don't like saying-
have more kids and send them to bowling, bro. If you want to help
do
the
it.
cause.
Do it.
Yeah. As the weeks get closer to New York Knicks re-engaging, the news of Brolic Mitchell Robinson is filtering out
60
there.
pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what Brolic Mitchell Robinson looks like.
Well, hopefully he can stay healthy and hold all that weight. He needs to get healthy. He loves being hurt.
Right. Yeah, he's got little ankles. It's going to be a problem.
Only way to get more experiences to experience more.
Yes,
So,
yes,
I'm
that's
hoping
very, very
that,
profound. I haven't heard that anywhere.
Wow. That's like Confucius say.
All right, we ready to rock or what? Let's go.
Yeah, man. Let's rock out of here. B, play that music and get your air freshener. That studio stinks.
No.
The windows are open.
And hey, folks, sorry about what you're seeing here. I got some construction going on in the crib, but at least it don't smell.